Hello and welcome back, I'm Sean. Today we're taking a look at Samsung's latest mid-range tablet, the Tab S10 FE Plus, the bigger screen model here, the Plus model, and to see if it's good for your everyday tasks that you might come to expect from a tablet like this. So let's check it out. So the first thing that I like about the S10 FE Plus is definitely the screen and size. Coming in at 13.1 inches, this thing is massive. So as good as a laptop screen, and I truly love the aspect ratio here, which is 16:10, which makes videos larger since it has less black bars on top and bottom, as compared to the iPad Air 13-inch with a less attractive 4:3 aspect ratio, making the black bars quite ugly in my opinion. And another thing that I love about this tablet that is essentially very water resistant, coming in at an impressive IP68 dust and water resistant rating. This is awesome because in the world of smartwatches, you can actually bring an IP68 watch for swimming, and now you get that in a tablet. And again, drawing comparison to the iPad, you don't have to buy the S Pen separately because with every Tab S10 FE purchase, they all come with a free S Pen in the box, so you don't need to buy them. And for a limited time, if you buy it in Malaysia, you're also gonna get the It keyboard case worth $499 with your purchase. So battery life is also great with this device. We'll talk a little bit more about them later on, but if you use it occasionally here and there during the day, you're going to be able to make it last the entire day with no problems. And with most Samsung devices, you also get DeX support, so this is not something new, but you can also use your tablet as a desktop. Just plug it into your monitor and you're good to go. So speaking of DeX mode, the keyboard on the keyboard cover that you get with this tablet can also be removed, so you can type this while you are in DeX mode, which is super thoughtful. And the key travel here is actually very nice. It feels very good to type on and better than some laptops out there. And finally, for the longest time that we don't see in many tablets or phones today, expandable micro SD card storage up to 2 TB. So massive storage on a massive tablet for all your media and movies. Oh yeah, and you also get 5G connectivity with this tablet, so you can actually pop in a mobile SIM and you always can stay connected. And I think just like the A56, since it uses the same chipset, the Exynos 1580, which is great with most day-to-day lightweight tasks, and even some texting tasks such as video editing and photo editing, I think they work great if you're a light user. But I do notice that when you start stacking 4K shots in LumaFusion, throw in some LUTs and audio processing, and you're going to see a drop in performance quite quickly. And if you're just editing basic home videos from your phone, plenty sufficient. And I would love to see an AMOLED display on here as well, but I do understand that this is a mid-range device, and having LCD in this range of device is pretty common. But man, I really wish there was an AMOLED display so colors can look better and blacks would look deeper. And also on the display front here, there isn't any rated Gorilla Glass branded protection here with this device, so you really need to be careful with this when using it. And since it's a larger piece of glass, there is more surface area for things to drop on it and shatter the screen, so you gotta be careful with that. Also, you're not getting any charging brick in the box itself, so you do get a C2C cable, but would be awesome if you also get a 45-watt fast charging brick in the box. So not something major since many people are already on Bluetooth earbuds, but it would be nice to see a mid-range device like this still come with audio jacks, so you can have the flexibility to use even with your own high-res earbuds or high-res headphones with this device. So while the keyboard here is great on this device, the trackpad here is quite hit or miss if you ask me, so you don't get to customize its sensitivity, which makes scrolling, clicking very fiddly. Scroll a little bit harder and your page flies somewhere you don't want to, and I found myself resorting back to the touchscreen more frequently when trying to navigate with this trackpad, which makes it much better to use. So this is something that definitely needs improvement. And with that said, the Tab S10 FE Plus comes in with two variants, a Wi-Fi only model at 2,799 ringgit or the 5G model at 3,149 ringgit. And you can also opt for the smaller screen model and Wi-Fi coming in at 2,199 ringgit and the 5G model at 2,549 ringgit. So very good pricing for a mid-range tablet. And if you find value in what you hear and like what you see so far, do subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so the YouTube algorithm can pick this up. And if you want to buy this tablet, do check out my links below. So the display that you get here, although it's an LCD screen, is really not too bad, and you get very sharp display with this 13.1-inch display with a resolution of 1800 by 2880, and that gives you a pixel per inch of 259, which makes this a very sharp screen. So the display comes in a nice 16:10 ratio, which gives you a little bit more height, and with a 16:9 ratio, video will look significantly fuller and larger as compared to the 4:3 aspect ratio on the iPad Air, which gives you a lot more small black bars at the top and bottom, looking less flattering. So watching videos, looking at photos and browsing websites looks great with this tablet, and you also get a 90Hz LCD, which is decently smooth but cannot be compared to a 120Hz or 144Hz adaptive display, so it will look a little bit laggy if you're already used to looking at 120Hz or higher display. So brightness wise is decent, coming in at 600 nits if you drag the brightness to the maximum, and if you use it under the sun, it has a max 800 nits with high brightness mode. So in my experience, using it under the sun isn't the best, and although you can still see it, but it's still not the best brightness under the sun. So let's talk a little bit about the battery life, and you get a pretty large battery here at 10,090 mAh battery, and Samsung also throws in a fast 45 watt wired charging, which is awesome. So for my standard battery test, running this huge screen with full screen YouTube and maximum brightness and high resolution, so this is the result. In the first hour, the battery dropped by 6%, which is pretty decent, but at the second hour, this is where it dropped the most, funnily, all the way down to 81%. So moving to the 5-hour mark, we get to a point of 43% battery, and moving to the 7-hour mark, we get to 23% battery. At the 8-hour mark, again it dropped another 13% to 10% battery left, and the tablet dropped to 5% at the 8-hour and 15 minutes mark. So finally, for my test, it died at 8 hours and 26 minutes. So for a large screen and playing at max out brightness and resolution, this is actually quite impressive. So with this tablet, you're getting Samsung's own Exynos 1580 chipset, which is also found on the Galaxy A56 as well. It's a decent mid-range chipset, but not something that you could use for more pro usage. So getting things out of the way, you're going to get an octa-core processor, and in Malaysia, you're going to get the 12GB RAM model with 256GB of storage, and in other regions, you might also get it in 8GB RAM model with 128GB of storage. So the good thing here is that you get to expand the storage here up to 2TB via microSD, which is awesome. You also get 5G options with the S10 FE series this year, so it's good that you have that option to choose from when buying your new tablet. Watching YouTube with this is very nice, where you're gonna get to play videos upwards of 2160 4K resolutions with HDR as well, with no issues. Everything is smooth and nice here, and there isn't any lag with this tablet when watching movies. Well, I've also tested this with 8K content, but unfortunately there isn't any option to select an 8K resolution here. So when playing games like PUBG, it feels very similar to the A56 performance. It's not that smooth, and the game can only run at HD graphics at most, with occasional stuttering. So with the frame rate, also feels a little bit between 24 to 30 frames per second, very similar to the A56, which can feel a little bit choppy, especially with fast-paced gaming. So testing this with LumaFusion also feels great. Overall experience here is fast and smooth. However, when you play back quite resource-extensive timeline, you're gonna start to see that it's not that smooth. It doesn't play back as smoothly if you are viewing it at maximum resolution during your edits. Perhaps not just with LumaFusion, but I think if you use other editing tools, you can drop the playback resolution for a smoother experience. So let's talk a little bit about the design of the Tab S10 FE Plus, and now this year featuring with a sleek aluminium unibody design. So everything from the back, the frame of the device is made of aluminum, and this tablet is also pretty thin, coming in at only 6mm thick. So weight wise, approximately 664 grams for the Wi-Fi model and 668 grams for the 5G model. So the matte finish not only looks premium but also resists fingerprints, keeping your tablet looking clean. Now the standout feature, the 13.1-inch LCD display, which is also increased from 12.4 inches on the last gen FE Plus. So the 90Hz refresh rate scrolling feels okay smooth, but you need to get used to it if you're coming from a faster refresh rate. Colors on the tablet also looks vibrant and beautiful. While it's not AMOLED, the brightness and clarity are commendable for an LCD panel. Just that when you use it at night, you're gonna notice that the black isn't that black, and the device in general looks pretty bright due to the non-AMOLED display. And on the side of the tablet, you're gonna see your stereo speakers, so one over here as well as another one right over here. You're also gonna get a Type-C port here for charging and data transfer, as well as to connect it to any monitor devices, as well as a pogo pin magnetic connector for accessories like the book cover keyboard. The power button also doubles as a side-mounted fingerprint scanner, providing secure and convenient unlocking. And on the same side, you're also gonna get a micro SD card slot. So on the back of the device, you're gonna get a single 13 megapixel megapixel rear camera, maintaining a very minimalist look at the back. The S Pen magnetically attaches to the back, ensuring it's always within reach for note-taking or sketching, but I do wish that the S Pen in the future can be mounted somewhere at the top instead of at the back. Of course, you can still do it like this, but if you use it with the keyboard case, it's gonna stick out at the back. Because if your pen is like this, putting it on the table is gonna make it wobbly. So that's something to think about. And all in all, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Plus provides you with premium design with very practical features, making a strong contender in the tablet market. And if you're looking for a device that balances beautiful, seamless design with great functionality, then this one is worth considering. So you get 2 cameras in total for this tablet, and that's about it. So at the front, you're gonna get a 12 megapixel center-mounted f2.4 lens, which is decently good in brightly lit situation, and you get nice clean shots here. However, when it's dimly lit situation, you see that the image is quite grainy. So the rear has a single 13 megapixel f2.0 lens, which is a decently good lens as well. It's not mind-blowing by today's standard, especially where tablets are also getting multi-camera setup. The S10 FE series here still comes with basic camera shooter, and it's mainly there for convenience and not for professional grade shooting. However, when the situation calls for it, you're still going to get good quality photos and videos with good resolution. There isn't any additional telephoto lenses here, so all the zooms here are digital zooms and they crop into the sensor. So for the best quality photos, shoot it at the widest, and from my test, great photos in broad daylight. Good contrast and nice HDR effects as well, and with night photography, it's not the best, still pretty grainy. You're still going to be able to get good quality photos with this device. And from a video capturing perspective, you're going to get 4K 30 frames per second for both cameras, as well as 1080p at 30 frames per second, so there's no 60 frames per second option here. So sound quality here is basic in my opinion, and you do get a stereo speaker here, and when you use it in landscape mode, so it's on the left and right top side of the tablet, so it's quite ear level, which is very good. It does get loud, but I do notice that there's some distortion with some media when played loudly, but from a day-to-day use, it's plenty good enough. So Samsung have always provided multiple screen sizes for customers to choose from, and with the S10 FE Plus this year, with larger screen real estate, I think you're really getting a lot of value here. Personally, I think the larger 13.1 inch is the right size tablet for me because I do love carrying around a big screen, and with my kind of workflow, editing videos on LumaFusion, editing my thumbnails, consuming media, videos, some light gaming, this is quite a great tablet to check out. If you also want to check out other Samsung products that I've reviewed recently, click on this playlist right over here, and if you want to check out my latest video, click right over here, and I'll see you over at those videos.